Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Friday's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Paul Dottino, Matt Citak with you the day after the NFL schedule release. Our phone number is 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. You can find us on social media at #GiantsChat. Also, the show is simulcast live on the New York Giants page of the YouTube network. You can leave questions and comments there if you so desire. An archive of this show and our entire podcast network is on the Giants mobile app. Podcast platforms everywhere and at giants.com/podcasts. And as always, we come to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Well, Matt, at least we have now cleared another hurdle towards the 2026 season. We got through with the combine. We got through free agency. We survived the draft. And now we have moved past the schedule release, which means there's only a few more things to go until the Giants finally get to week one of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, this was the last, I would say, big tentpole event. Schedule release has turned into
minicamp?
I'm talking about a league-wide tentpole event, like schedule release compared to what it was only just a few years ago has become this humongous extravaganza instead of just saying, hey, here are our games. But yeah, this was the last big one. Of course, OTAs start next week. We have 3 weeks of OTAs, a week of minicamp. There's still 1 month of spring practices left, which in terms of actual football content is big. Of course, it'll be our last chance and also first chance to see the rookies integrated with the rest of the team starting next week at OTAs, and then our last chance to see all of these guys until things pick up in West Virginia for the start of training camp. So of course excited for that, but yeah, very glad to just have the schedule release in the rearview mirror, because especially for, you know, me and my department upstairs, schedule release is so much work. There's so much content that we put out around it. So glad to have that behind us now.
And I want to address that first because, folks, I know we've all been preoccupied with our thoughts about the schedule, but your guys upstairs in the digital department put out a whole slew of stuff. I mean, you got the Jameis Winston schedule release video. Okay?
Which that is also our production department. They are the ones that really put that video together. So got to give Pearson and his department,
no question,
props for that, Charles.
So that's up there. There's a whole slew of other ticket sales promos up there, because let's face it, if you guys want to get in on the excitement for this season, you'll probably want to get those tickets early before they start to disappear.
Yes.
So that's up there as well. But in addition to that, I happen to already have downloaded the Jackson Dart schedule wallpaper.
Yes, it's a cool one.
Which, by the way, this one's really, really good.
Yeah, our graphics department did a great job with everything related to
And there's a bunch of these things that you can download.
We have phone wallpapers available now for download in the Giants app. You can make your background the schedule if you want. You know, I recommend it. Good way to stay on top of the schedule.
Oh, it's excellent.
Surprised you haven't done that yet.
I put the wallpaper on my laptop because I figure that's when I'm working. That's what I need to see.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, you know what's on my phone, don't you? The stadium.
Oh yeah. Of course, I've seen it a million times. Yeah.
I mean, that's my anyway. All right, so here we go, folks. We got 1 hour to talk Giants football and the schedule release with you. The questions that I'm offering you today, just to get things started, because maybe you need a little spark to get the fires burning. I had put up my full annual analysis that I always do every year about the schedule release. I do a deep dive. It takes me hours to do it, but I really dig in very, very deeply into all kinds of aspects, from what the general managers, the coaches, and the players might feel. It's not a fan perspective. It is more of an inside football perspective from the other side of the fence. And hopefully some of that stuff is enjoyable for you guys to read. But that's not what I really want to go over during the program, as much as I'm interested in what your thoughts are, because my thoughts are already posted online. We want to hear what you guys have to say. To that end, the questions of the day, you can have either one, or if you'd like both, and I'm going to start off by asking Matt, what is the favorite aspect of the Giants schedule for you? Not necessarily the favorite game. It can be the favorite game if you prefer, but is there a favorite aspect of the schedule that really gets your juices going?
Well, you want to just say both? Because for me,
Are they the same?
No, they're connected, though.
Oh, they're connected. Okay, so the second question, I think, and I put this one up as well, if you could swap a pair of games, in other words, change one game where it is with another game and flip them, okay, maybe flip is the better word than swap. If you could flip a pair of games, take, let's say, week 1 and week 5 and swap them, would you do that? Is there a particular pair of games that you would have liked to have seen in the opposite direction? So those are the two questions.
All right. So John and I released a full Giants Huddle schedule reaction video that was put up last night. So I'm not going to go too into detail here, but my favorite aspect, and I feel like it is a underrated aspect that I have not seen that many people really point out. A couple of people have, but the Giants have 3 matchups this year where the team that they are playing is coming off an international game the week before.
I have it.
So in week 2, they play the Rams. The Rams are going all the way to Australia for the season opener. Mm-hmm. Granted, I think they have like a 10 or 11 day break between the games, so it's not like a very quick turnaround, but nonetheless, Australia, other side of the world, that is a pretty far trip. So I'm glad, facing the Rams at any time is not going to be an easy matchup, but having to face them coming right off of that trip to Australia, maybe the Giants will be able to, I don't want to say sneak up on them, but catch them when they're not quite at 110%. And then similarly, week 5, the Giants play the Commanders. Commanders the week before are playing in London, and that is a normal quick turnaround. They play on Sunday, week 4, and then the Giants play them Sunday, week 5.
They didn't take their bye, which the league gives them an option, right? If you want to take your bye after an international game, they'll give it to you.
And I don't blame them. Week 5 is real early for a bye. You'd want it to be a little later. And then similarly, I believe it's the Houston Texans matchup in week 7. The Texans are in London the week before that. So,
against the Jags.
Yes, against the Jaguars. So Giants obviously have no international games. They do have 2 pretty far trips, but it's to the West Coast. A little easier than going to another continent. So that is my favorite aspect. And then to go to question 2.
Yes.
Connecting to that, why not make it 4 games with a team coming off an international game? So I would swap the Monday night game against the Detroit Lions in week 16.
Yes.
And I would swap it with week 11, the matchup against the Jaguars, because the week before that, the Lions are playing in Munich against the Patriots.
Okay.
So again, Munich, Germany, pretty far from Detroit. So I would love to be able to face the Lions 1 week after they have to come back from that long trip to Germany.
I like that. That's very creative of you. And I like the way you intertwined that. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I kind of looked at this from a similar perspective in one regard, in that my favorite aspect of this schedule is the bye week, which in week 8 is awesome. But it's not just because it's near the middle of the schedule. The Giants come off their bye week and they get to prepare for the road game against the Philadelphia Eagles and hopefully setting up a strong second half of their season. At the same time, the Eagles are coming off back-to-back weeks against Dallas and Washington. They will be facing an NFC East rival for the 3rd consecutive week, while the Giants have had a week off to heal, reset, and prep for the defending division champions.
And
I like that.
I'll take it one step further even. Obviously, we know the Giants have had a lot of difficulty against the Eagles in the last over decade, and especially in Philadelphia. When was the last time you won in Philadelphia? 2013, I think?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
And that Week 9 game after the bye is in Philadelphia. Do you know what John Harbaugh's record as head coach coming out of a bye is? In his 18 seasons with the Ravens?
Yeah, it's ridiculously strong. It's like 12-2 or something.
15-3.
There you go.
15-3. So if there's ever a time to be traveling down the highway to take on take on the Eagles in Philly, let it be after the bye, where John Harbaugh has shown that he has had a tremendous amount of success.
Okay, so that is my favorite aspect of the schedule. and hopefully it will work in the Giants' favor. It certainly looks like it could. It's certainly set up that way. What would I like to flop? Well, I would love to flop weeks 1 and 6. 1 being the Dallas Cowboys, 6 being the New Orleans Saints. Both are home games. Now, why would I want to flop that? Well, I know John and I have talked about this a lot. I don't know if we have. John and I are of the opinion that it's not good to open with a division foe. Now, the primary reason for that is simple. We often talk, and I didn't feel this way years ago, but I do feel this way in recent years because they've lightened up training camp because of the CBA. They have shortened the preseason by a game because of the CBA. And now, the first few weeks of football, and Bill Polian always says, right, you got to play a month. You got to wait till the 4th week or so till you really find out what your team is. Let's face it, folks. We've discussed this at least 5 trillion times on this program. The first few weeks of September are like an extension of the preseason. It is bad football. It is not good football. So I resent the fact that such a critical game, a division rival game, would be week 1, when there's a good chance, based on what we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years in this league, that's not good quality football. Now, here's what I will say, okay? I will say this. It does happen for both teams. This is not something that only happens for one side. But the league has decided, for the sake of the game in the league, that division games are so critical that since 2010, they made the last week of the regular season a division rival game. They said the rivalry games are so important, and we want to keep the interest all the way to the end of the season. We will guarantee you that everybody's going to face a division rival in their regular season finale because of the significance of those games. Remember, everybody says they count twice, right? Because you're in the division. Well, don't you think that it's kind of backwards if you put so much value and emphasis on division rivalry games that you would put them at the regular season finale? Why would you put one in week 1? That's, to me, exactly the opposite. Because what we know is that week 1 football is not very good. It's just not. I get it. It's equal for both teams, but it's not very good football. So why are we doing that? If the league says those games are so critical, why are we putting them in the week where you probably have the best chance of sloppy football?
So I'm going to take the flip side real quick on why it could potentially be beneficial for the Giants.
Well, in this case, maybe it could, because if they win, it's awesome.
Well, yes, of course. You know, the one time that the Giants have beaten the Cowboys in the season opener in the last, 10, 15 years was 2016. And obviously that was the year the Giants won 11 games and made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But to your point, which I think you were 100% correct in, that the first month of the season, the first 4 weeks, teams are not really playing at 100%. It's not until after that first month where things really start to mesh.
Especially with all the new coaches and staff.
For sure. You start to really figure out who your team is and stuff. But for a team like the Giants, who at least going into the season, I think are like, the odds of their odds in the NFC East are, that they're going to finish in last place. It gives them a chance, I think, to upset a team that, at least going into the year, people think are a better team than them. So that is just one thing that, you can catch the Cowboys when they're not 100%, and, maybe it affects them a little bit more because they're going into the game supposed to win. Even though the game is at MetLife Stadium, Cowboys are still the favorites in that game. So I don't think you're wrong. I'm just a flip side of the argument. And then the other thing, which this would be my second favorite aspect of the schedule, and it would be dampened if we were to swap week 1 and week 6 to a degree. I like how the Giants matchups between them and their division rivals are so spread out.
Love that.
They play the Cowboys in week 1, mm-hmm. and then week 17. They play the Commanders, week 5? And week 10. That's the closest, and it's a 5-week span. Mm-hmm. And then the Eagles are week 9 and week 18. I feel like in years past, and I think John and I spoke about this yesterday. Bunched. I think in each of the last 2 years, we played the Eagles twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm glad in that sense that the matchups against each of their division rivals are pretty spread out. I mean, the closest one is still over a month apart. So just over a month apart. So I do like that aspect of the schedule as well.
Well, if Dallas was 6-17 instead of 1-17, it would still be quite a ways away.
100%.
I think when you zero into the forest and get to a tree, you're absolutely right. Maybe it works to the Giants' advantage to play Dallas right out of the gate, especially when Dallas has absolutely no idea what the Giants coaching staff is going to do.
Yeah.
So I could understand that in this specific case. I'm one, and I know John feels the same way on this. I'd love to see the NFL throw that rule into the computer. And because this is an NFL picture for me, it's a big picture thing. I appreciate the game, and I just don't like sloppy football having such a big impact on your divisional record. And it certainly could. What I would do is tell the league, throw in another rule. They probably got about 35 of them for each team, but throw in a rule that just like you're adding the rule about divisional rivals have to be in the final game, I would say no division rivalry games the first 2 weeks of the season. Across the board, make it fair to everybody in the league. Say, guess what? No division rivalry games the first 2 weeks. At least we get to week 3, and we got a chance of teams having their sea legs. Now, that's a totally unbiased opinion.
You know what the issue with that is, though?
Well, how many combinations are going to be disallowed because you can't make it work?
Well, also the biggest issue, division games make for good TV, and everything now is about giving these networks the best possible matchups.
Well, for example, though, I mean, there are still really good quality rivalries that cross divisions in this league. Like, for example, if the Giants were to play San Francisco, there's a lot of heat between the history of those teams. Course, that would be a pretty sexy game, wouldn't it?
It 100% would, but it still pales in comparison to Giants-Cowboys.
No question. But see, I'm not talking TV ratings here.
No, I know you're not.
I'm talking
football. You're talking from football, and I respect that, but we know what the
right
behind a lot of the decisions that are made.
You are absolutely right. I'm living in an unrealistic world because I put football first.
In an ideal world.
Exactly. I'm all about the quality of the game. Folks, I tell you, I get into the minds of the GMs, the coaches, and the players. That's where my heart lies. I'm sorry. It doesn't lie with the bank. It doesn't lie with the marketing department. It doesn't lie with the fans. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it from the pure love of the game. I just think it's bad to have rival games during the sloppiest weeks of the year. Just my feeling. Anyway.
That's fair. Real quick. Just very quick things that I also just like about the schedule. I like that there's a lot of 1 p.m. games.
11 of them.
Yeah, and especially the home games. Of the 8 games that are currently scheduled, 6 of them are Sunday 1 o'clock games, which I appreciate. You know, it's a long day working those games. It's nice to be able to at least get home and watch Sunday Night Football and get to kick up my feet a little bit. So that might be a selfish reason, but I do like that. And then the other really minor, but just with how loud their fan base has been the last 4 months, I got to say, I'm glad that the Giants-Titans game is one of those Sunday 1 o'clock games and not a primetime game. The Titans have 0 primetime games because their fan base has been, I don't know how active you are on the Giants Twitter of looking, but boy, have their fan base been active and chirping a lot the last 4 months, and they were rewarded with 0 primetime games, while the Giants, who finished with the same record, have 4 primetime games.
Do their fans realize that their selection of Tate allowed us to get Reese?
I think so. They're trying to play it off as how that was a good thing for them, which Carnell Tate's a great player, but
I love Tate. You know that, but we all agreed in this room and in this studio and on this staff that if you can get Marthel Reese, you're throwing a pizza party.
Yeah, and you just because you mentioned potential rivalries that go beyond the division. Well, it seems like fans in Nashville, which is my second home. I went to school there. I love Nashville, but their fans are trying to make this into some heated rivalry when it's kind of one-sided. We got our own rivals to deal with.
Are you happy for Spencer Jones? Spencer Jones. Did he not go to Vanderbilt? No?
How long ago was that?
I don't know what year it was, but I thought Spencer Jones was a Vanderbilt guy.
We're talking baseball.
Yes, the Yankee slugger who just came up to the majors last week.
No, I'm just in football mode.
Well, you're always in Vanderbilt mode, okay?
That is true.
Come on.
That is true, yes.
That's like running in the background of his head like a computer program.
No, at first I'm like, wait, what's Spencer Jones? Vandy football have Spencer Jones on the team? No, yes. Spencer Jones did go to Vanderbilt. Baseball. Vandy boys.
Did you follow him at all when he was there?
I don't remember when he was there, to be honest. So I
want to say about 3 years ago?
2020. Okay. So this was well after, obviously, I graduated.
Oh, I know, but he's a monster.
Yeah, to see, the thing is, the one collegiate sport that no one seems to really care about is the one that my school happens to be the best at year after year.
Yeah, they're very good.
And so every year we churn out multiple major league players. So it's hard to keep up with everyone. But yes, Spencer Jones did go to Vandy. We'll be rooting for him.
All right. Very good. Glad to hear that. 201-939-4513. We go to the telephone lines, and let's see who's first up on the show. It's going to be Roberto in Florida. Welcome to BBKL. Hello.
Hey, Paulie, it's me, Mr. Excitement.
Indeed it is.
So Paulie.
Somehow I knew you'd be bubbling over this morning.
Hey, Paulie, listen. Don't go to Sydney, bro. Don't go to Sydney. But look, check this out. I'm excited, right? Because I agree with everything you guys said in the show this morning, right? But check this out, Matt.
Yep.
Matt, check this out. I don't care if any team goes to play to Mars and play the Martians football team and come back in the space show. I don't care. We don't need no excuses. We're not going to make any excuses. Listen, in order for us to be contenders, we have got to. That's I'm grateful. The Rams, the 49ers, Detroit, our own division, the Eagles, the Cowboys. We have got to play and beat up on the best if we're going to show that we are worthy, right? Now, Paulie said something about flipping teams or games, right? My son, my third born, he's 47 years old. Mm-hmm. He is a Colt fan. I'm a diehard Giants fan. Of course, that's going to be a hard week to travel. I think Thanksgiving or something is in the making. But I will swap that for the November 12th game, right? Because check this out.
That's Washington.
I was born November 12, 1957. So what better way for me to make my very first NFL game than Thursday night, prime time, against that second rivalry that's going to begin between Sonny Styles and Harbaugh Reese. Listen, I'm excited, man. I don't know how this is going to happen. That's my birthday, Thursday night, prime time. Somehow, I'm going to make it there. I just don't want to get the $89 seats where I'm going to need a parachute just in case I pass out and fall. But I am excited. We have to put a stop to this. Another thing we talked about before, that 49er game, it's not going to be like last year with 3/4 of the stadium with 49ers. We need to put respect back into the team, and we doing defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Peyton Manning winning the Super Bowl? Come on. The defense should have got the MVP for that. But listen, man, November 12th.
Okay.
I am going to do whatever I have to do to be back in my home state and go see the Giants slap around the Commanders.
Great stuff, Roberto.
Give me some thoughts on how we need to take on the best in order to be up with the best at the end of the year. Thank you.
All right, my man.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Roberto.
We discussed last night on the WFAN special, John, Moose, and myself, that, if you're the Giants, two things. Number one is you got to be at least 4-3 by the bye week to set yourself up for a respectable second half of the schedule. That's the first thing we agreed on. The second thing we agreed on is that at the very minimum, you need to go 3-3 in the division. I know the last time the Giants made the playoffs, they were 2-4 in the NFC East, but that's not something that happens very often. Usually you have to be at least 500 in your division to be a playoff team.
100%. And, to Roberto's 2 points. Well, first of all, I think we both very much hope that the Giants get you a birthday win, of course.
Without a doubt.
And then second of all, of course, if the Giants want to be contenders this year, they need to win some of those games that they're going to go in as pretty big underdogs. There's no doubt about it. You can't just beat up on the, quote unquote, weaker teams and think that you're going to be a playoff team. So, of course, you got to beat those better teams. But look at the Giants' away schedule. There is literally not a single easy game on their away schedule. Those are all tough matchups. I think it was Warren Sharp put this graphic as a statistic out. The Giants have the toughest road schedule of any team in the NFL this year. All three of those matchups that I mentioned where the team that the Giants are playing are coming off an international game, those are all road games. Mm-hmm. So why not be happy of just the slightest, I don't even know if I'd call it an advantage, but it's definitely not a disadvantage that those teams are coming off of international trips the week before. And I'll add one more to it. The Seattle Seahawks game in week 14. They're coming off a short week. They play Monday night the week before. It's only one day shorter, but even if it just gives the Giants the tiniest little leg up in these difficult road matchups, why wouldn't you be happy about it? They're going to have to win some of these games in order to be a contender. So anything that could help, obviously, we're going to be happy about.
If the international travel was meaningless, the league would not be giving teams the option to have the bye week following the international game.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, isn't that the only thing that you need to say to justify it?
Any international, well, not any of them, because, I think
the overseas ones.
The overseas ones. Right. I was going to say, when the 49ers are going to, I think, Mexico City, that's not that crazy of a trip.
No, that one doesn't count, I don't believe.
But going to, London, Australia, those are big, major time changes for those teams. So, yeah, it's tough to adapt. Now, it's a little bit easier, or it's a little bit tougher on the way there than it is on the way back. But nonetheless, it's obviously more difficult than if you were, playing a division rival a short 2-hour flight away.
No doubt. All right, let's go back to the phones. And Coach Marvin's in Delaware. Hello, Coach. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Paul and Matt?
Good to talk to you again.
How are you, Coach?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm kind of with Matt on this about the travel. The international overseas games do play a role. You think about when a West Coast team come over to the East Coast. The time change is really the problem, and maybe that might be give the Giants an upper hand with them doing all that traveling and changing the time on them. It can be a pain in the butt. So maybe that will give us an upper hand. And I'm probably with Paul about I don't mind. I don't really get into my schedules. I kind of like. The schedule is the schedule. We play who we play, and I don't really read much in it.
Coach's mentality, Coach. I like where you're coming from because Parcells felt the same way. He's like, they line them up, and we just go play them.
yeah, because you can't control it.
No.
So I never really got into saying, I wish we didn't have to play them this week. But since we throwing this out there, I think I would prefer not to play my rival on the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Matt. It's a television thing, but I have to ask Matt, what do you think about a 0-0 record playing each other rivals compared to say one team's 5-1 and one is 6-0? I think that's a better television show with the teams with winning records playing.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But when the schedule makers are putting the schedule together in May, you can't guarantee that that's going to be the team's records going into. You can guarantee that both teams will be 0-0 going into week 1, though.
Yeah, you're right. But we still talking fantasy. We talking again. We can't even change those games too in that same aspect. So
no, you're right. But to your point, if you look at the Giants' schedule, they end the season with games against the Cowboys and the Eagles. If all those three teams are contending, those games are going to be the most exciting games of the entire season with so much on the line.
Right, you're right. But I'm just saying. Not Giants and Cowboys. I'm saying rivals. If you had two rivals, 0-0, and then that same rival is 5-1 and 6-0, which one of those would you prefer? Which one of those games you think would be more entertaining?
I believe. If you could guarantee me, like, those are the two scenarios, then of course 6-0 versus 5-1 is going to be more exciting. Of course.
You know, Coach, really what it comes down to, and Matt is 1,000% correct on the angle that he's coming from on this, because the marketing aspect of opening day is such a big deal for the league. I mean, look at this. We are now going to be talking about this Giants-Dallas opener for 3.5 months.
Yep.
Okay? It's going to be nonstop. Everyone's going to be anticipating the Dallas Giants opener, at least in these two cities. Well, as much as I want to say a San Francisco Giants game, or in my case, I wanted to just flop the Saints and the Cowboys because I could give a horse's butt about the excitement over the rivalry game. But if you took, let's say, San Francisco Giants as opening night, all right, or let's just say, I don't know, you flopped Dallas and Jacksonville. Jacksonville was a very good team last year. They had a great record. And you could say, wow, Jacksonville, opening day, Giants, that's a big game. That doesn't carry 1/10 of the anticipation of the Giants and the Cowboys.
No, we played them week 1 in 2018. It was a Sunday 1 o'clock game.
And it doesn't carry heat.
No.
So he is 1,000% correct, Coach, when he says from the marketing perspective, you want to put a rivalry game in week 1. I just think from a football angle, it's not the best way to utilize your schedule.
I mean, if you just look real quick, let's just look at the 4 primetime games in week 1. It is the first game of the season is a Super Bowl rematch of Patriots and Seahawks. Then you have 49ers versus the Rams, division rivals. Giants, Cowboys, division rivals, and Broncos, Chiefs, division rivals.
Exactly.
They're going. There's a specific theme here. They have an angle that they're efficient for because they know what works for week 1 at least.
So
right. I understand that. That's why I started it off like I don't care about the schedule. Because when you do that, you go down these rat holes of, well, this may not happen and that may happen. And that's why I didn't do it. I just said, if I had a choice, I would take it that way because I knew we were going to go down this route because you both are 100% right, and I agree totally with you, and I feel the same way. But that's why I started it off and said, I don't really care when it comes to the schedule. It is what it is.
Yep.
I can't change it.
No, we can't. It is a good schedule for the Giants, by the way. I will tell you this, Coach. Logistically speaking, although you can't change it, I can't change it, and Matt can't change it, for the most part, there's a lot to like here logistically, the way this schedule breaks down for the Giants. In fact, for my purposes, the way that I break it down, and I've already posted on the internet all the stuff that I look at, it's probably one of the best schedules the Giants have had in the last couple of decades. It's a very, very well-designed schedule for the Giants to have success.
Yeah, and in terms of like logistically flying, obviously we knew going into the season that the Giants had away games in Los Angeles and Seattle. So it didn't matter when those games were, you're going to have 2 cross-country trips. Now, I will say that both of those teams, again, as I mentioned before, the Rams coming into the week 2 game are going to be coming from Australia. Granted, a little bit extended break, but nonetheless, Australia the week before.
11 days, by the way.
Yeah, and then the Seahawks game, as I mentioned before, they're coming off a Monday night game. So, obviously those trips are going to be hard because they're 2 of the best teams in the NFL and you're flying all the way across the country. But the way the schedule makers kind of lined it up for the Giants, like it could have been so much worse in terms of those cross-country trips.
Coach, we're going to let you go, okay?
What's that, Paul?
I said we're going to let you go unless you had something real fast.
Well, I had something to say, but we jumped off of it. But the last thing is it's a good schedule. The reason I like the first game, that's my birthday, the Cowboys game.
Awesome.
Myself,
happy birthday.
My coach, Mike Jones, and the rapper, Joyner Lucas, may be there. We're going to that game, so I'll be there on September 13th, which is my birthday. So
awesome, Coach.
All right, guys.
Be well.
Thanks, Coach. Well, Coach Marvin, similar to what I just said to Roberto, I hope the Giants get you a birthday W.
Is this the birthday show?
Keep on calling and tell us when your birthday lands on a game. We'll try to get everyone a birthday win.
Chris in Rochester is on line 3. He's next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Paulie Dots, the Citak of SWAT. How you guys doing today?
We're good, man. How are you?
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. So I called earlier in the week, and I didn't have much time to talk. It was Schmelke and the Moose was on. So, and on the first defensive snap of this season, Do you guys think that it's going to be DJ Reader in the middle, KT on one end, Darius Alexander, and then the Carter, Reese, Edmonds, Burns? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Chris. Yeah. It sounds like you're wrestling a bear in the background, though. No, in terms of who you think the Giants' starting 11 will be for their first defensive snap against Dallas, we could just take a flyer on that right now, but can we wait until we at least see some preseason games first?
It's more of the type of defense that he's going to run. Are we going to be like 3-4, lot of man?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that there's going to be a lot of man, but Denard Wilson has made it clear, right? His number one priority, what was that word? Unpredictable. You could say all you like about they have a base, but if Denard Wilson has his way, they won't really have a base. They're going to be multiple. That's it. There won't be a base, so to speak. I'll say this. I hope, and I haven't had a chance to really sit down and talk to him, I hope that we see a variety of fronts, not just 3-4s and 4-3s. I hope we see a variety of different 5-man fronts, too. That's what I hope.
I think we're going to.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
From everything Denard Wilson has said, that seems like that is currently the plan, at least.
He's saying unpredictable, so that means you're going to see a kaleidoscope of defenses, and I hope that's not just talk. I hope that comes to fruition.
But yeah, it's a little tough to predict who's going to be on the field for the first snap of the game. Because what if the Cowboys come out and just have 4 wide receivers on the field? You're not going to have DJ Reader and Shelby Harris out there then.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Because this type of defense goes right back to Banks was awesome in man defense when Martindale wanted it. And then it seemed like we went to a zone scheme, and then that's kind of where he fell off.
Yeah.
Now he's going back to man. Banks is he's going to be in that competition. He just
that's
needs
the
to
idea.
look for the ball. That was his problem.
Yeah, well, they got 4 corners now who at least have done who have done something. Whether or not you talk about Hood in college, Banks as a rookie, and then the other 2 fellas, Newsome and Adebo, have done things in the NFL before to make you smile. So there's 4 guys now who are going to fight like a demon for those 2 starting spots.
It's going to be about who can do it the most consistently. Yeah, because that's something. I mean, Hood is not. We haven't seen him yet, so he doesn't get. Separate him, but the other 3 guys, they've all shown flashes, but they have not done it on a consistent basis. Adebo, I would say, has been the most consistent, but last year, obviously, that was not exactly the case. And I've said this before, coming off that major leg injury, it's a little understandable why he maybe wasn't at his 100% best, but no excuses now. He's another year removed from the injury. Yeah. The other 2 guys got to start doing it more consistently.
Man, I was watching film on Arvell Reese. I watched a bunch of it. There was a couple times where he is just like bench pressing a right tackle. This guy looked like he was at least 320 pounds. He walked him right onto the back of his heels. He's like chucking tight ends like they're little kids. This is the most excited I've been since probably 2008 when we were coming off those back-to-back wins off of where there was a number 1 run defense, the number 2 run defense, and we put up 200 yards rushing on both of them. And then Plex shot himself, and we went 1-4 in the next couple of weeks. But that team was good. We were going to win again.
Yeah, I think so.
With Edmonds,
to this day,
and Reese in the middle.
I still say that 2008 Giants team was the most talented team, the best team of any of these Giants teams of the last, we'll call it 25 years at least. They would have won the Super Bowl again if it weren't for that incident.
Oh, yeah. We were 11-1. We ran over the Steelers, and then we ran over the Ravens back-to-back weeks. Man, we were going. Nobody was stopping us.
Wouldn't have beaten the 86 team, though. I will tell you that.
That's why I said 25 years. I didn't want to go too far back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chris, thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thanks,
Take
Chris.
care. Have a great day. Kingsley in Brooklyn, you're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, guys. Hey, Paul. Hey, Matt. How you guys doing?
Great to talk to you.
How are you, Kingsley?
I'm good. So I find myself thinking a lot about the Titans. I don't know why, but actually, because of the schedule, I'm very surprised to see the Titans not having any primetime games. Do you think that says anything about how the NFL is viewing Cam Ward? Because Jackson Dart and Ward came out in the same class.
Well, I have not been keeping track of the Titans' social media. According to Matt, they have been very vociferous in their early off-season comments. Look, all I know is this. You've got Saleh, you've got Daboll. There is a tremendous connection to the New York metropolitan area, and they are coming up here in week 3 to play at MetLife Stadium. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hype and a lot of stories and a lot of fanfare about that game. So, the Titans may not have a primetime game, but there'll be a lot of hype that week.
Yeah, and I'll say, just because, a lot of people were wondering, because the Titans were not the only team that did not get a primetime game. It was the Titans, the Jets, and the Cardinals were the 3 teams that did not get any primetime games. So Mike North, who is the league vice president of broadcast planning or broadcasting, was asked about this, and he said, basically, look, there's a reason why we have the flex scheduling for November and December. Teams that earn primetime games that maybe don't have as many or any earlier in the season will get rewarded with them later in the year if they show that they are worthy of it.
Right.
It's the same reason why, right now the Giants have 4 primetime games. Yes, but that last game, the Lions one, if the season does not go how the Giants would like, I wouldn't be shocked if that game then got flexed out of Monday night. I mean, it would have to go pretty poorly by week 16, I think, for that to happen. But, that is why the Titans didn't really show, and the Jets, Cardinals, I mean, those are 3 teams that picked 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the draft. Now, of course, the Giants did draft 5th. They were right there with those teams, but the hiring of John Harbaugh obviously made a big difference, at least in how the league looks at this team.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, for the Giants to start off with prime times in the first 2 games of the year, that is the Harbaugh effect. If he's not coaching here this season, that's not happening.
No, I'm with you.
So, and I just want to leave with this. I think that, Paul, I think you hit it on the head. I think that Titans-Giants game is going to be very, very chippy. It's giving me shades of the Broncos game we had last year. I don't know what started it, but the Giants fans and the Broncos fans, they were at each other's necks. I feel like this feels like that. I don't know if you guys agree. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Thank you, Kingsley.
Thanks very much.
So, again, as someone who spends a lot of time on Giants Twitter, I will say I think at least last year, going into that Broncos game, it's because that's when the Giants were coming off of wins 2 of 3 games, including that huge win over the Eagles on Thursday night where everyone was riding high, and we were like, all right, playoffs, let's go. Let's do this now. And the Broncos had already established themselves as a very contender and one of the best defenses in the league. And so I think that just led to all the chirping back and forth between the fans on Twitter. Now, this year, I can pinpoint of the moment that it started between Giants and Titans fans, and that was because there were a lot of Titan fans out there that thought John Harbaugh was going to choose the Tennessee Titans to coach instead of the Giants. Because there was some rumblings at one point that that was one of the teams that was in the running. So I think when he ended up choosing the Giants and sort of spurning the Titans, I don't think he even made the trip to Tennessee, to Nashville.
No, the Giants made a power play and scooped them up right away.
So that is, I think, left some Titans fans maybe feeling a little spurned. And then you add in the fact that the Titans went on to hire Brian Daboll as their offensive coordinator, Robert Saleh as the head coach. Obviously, he's not the Giants, but Jets. So same exact market, same stadium. And then they went out and signed, 4 or 5 former Giants in free agency. So all of this, and then you add in the fact that Cam Ward and Jackson Dart were the 2 first quarterbacks taken in last year's draft, the only 2 taken in the first round. The ingredients are all there to show why the fan bases might be a little chirpy towards each other. But again, it seems like it's more so coming from Nashville up than the other way around, because I think Giants fans, we have our hands full already dealing with the Eagles fans and the Cowboys fans, the Commanders fans. Yeah. We don't need another unnecessary, unwarranted rivalry.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Hey, referring to the beginning of the schedule, though, we've already had a lot of comments about that. In talking about this Dallas game, I just want to give you two interesting numbers that kind of go in opposite directions. So since 2012, the Giants are 1-6 against the Cowboys in week 1 of the regular season, including 0-2 at MetLife Stadium in 2012 and 2013. We all remember those games in particular because they were here, but if you know anything about the history of this rivalry, this has not been a good scenario for the Giants to open up with the Cowboys, certainly not in recent years. But here's the flip side to that, and we mentioned the John Harbaugh effect just a few moments ago and why the Giants got 2 nationally televised games at the top of their schedule. John Harbaugh owns a 12-6 career record in week 1 in his 18 years as head coach of the Ravens. During that same time period, the Giants were 5-13 on opening day. Now, why do I bring this up? I don't think that's just a fluke, and I don't think that's just because the Ravens have had more talent across the board than the Giants have had in the last 20 years. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's part of it, but I think a significant part of this is that we know John Harbaugh runs a tough offseason program and a tough training camp. The people in Baltimore will tell you that. Ravens players, and I'm not going to name names, but you've seen the quotes recently about how, well, yeah, John Harbaugh training camp's going to be a little bit easier nowadays now that he's gone. Well, I would say to you folks that it's because he runs a very strict and a very tight and a very detail-oriented and focused off-season program and training camp. That's why he is so successful coming out of the box. I don't think that's a fluke. I think it's actually very important. And when you realize that in September, in fact, I'm not just going to go September, weeks 1 through 4, okay, just weeks 1 through 4, and occasionally the 4th week was October.
Yep.
But in weeks 1 through 4, Harbaugh's 44-28. That's a 61% winning percentage. Okay? How about this? 10 times he started 3-1 out of the box, Matt. And then 2-2 on 6 different occasions. Only twice in 18 years has John Harbaugh had a losing record after 4 weeks. He was 1-3 in 2015 and 1-3 last season in 2025. Those are trends that say more than the roster was better. Because as we just discussed, there's a lot of sloppy play in the first few weeks of the season. And the better roster and the more talented roster doesn't always win those games. There's a lot of, quote, upsets because of the sloppy play. For him to put forth those kinds of numbers tells you something about his system and how he runs things coming out of the box.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've only got access to like snippets of some of the practices that have already taken place, but I think we've already got the feel that it is significantly different now than it has been the last couple of years in terms of how these practices are run. I mean, the biggest thing, which, you know, the beat reporters, I think, tweeted about rookie minicamp, I believe it was, is, you know, there's not, you know, music blasting throughout practice now.
No.
It's serious, take care of your business, like business-like, you know, mindset during these practices now. And I know we'll see come September, you know, it's easy to say this in May, but that could end up obviously playing to the Giants' advantage. I don't want to say being more prepared for week 1, because I do think they were prepared in the previous years, but it's definitely more, you know, business-like, serious feel around here.
The mindset.
Yeah. And just one very quick thing, there's a photo gallery that we put together on Giants.com, which is John Harbaugh's record versus every opponent that the Giants faced this year. Mm-hmm. He is 4-1 in his career against the Cowboys.
Nice.
So let's hope that success carries over into 2026 and beyond.
So for all of Dallas's dominant numbers in this particular situation, Harbaugh has kind of equally dominant numbers on the other side.
Yep. Obviously with a different team, but
something's going to give, my man. Something is going to give.
This will be the first time he's experiencing the Cowboys in the NFC East rivalry. So yes, a little bit of a different feel.
Yeah, no doubt. We do have a YouTube comment. Louis GS Sports Word 9525 says, what position battle are you looking forward to this year? I'm thinking safety, either Washington or Pinnock battling with Nubin. Boy, if Nubin can't beat out both of those guys, that would be disappointing. Because after his rookie season, Nubin was projected to be a really high-level player, and then he took a step back last year. He also says, what player are you looking forward to taking the next step from the previous year? All right, I give both of those to you.
Okay, so first, well, just real quick, I feel like our Darius Washington and Jason Pinnock were brought in to be more depth pieces at safety.
And special teams.
And special teams for sure. Never say never. I would be a little surprised if either one of them beat Tyler Nubin out for a starting safety position in week 1. Obviously, if the season's going along and Tyler Nubin is struggling and one of those guys is playing well, then you never know. But going into week 1, I would be a little surprised by that. The position battle that I am most looking forward to this year, and I think it could end up being perhaps the most important one, is who wins that second starting outside corner spot opposite Paulson Adebo. Because Greg Newsome, is it Colton Hood as a rookie, which obviously it's not easy for a corner to step in week 1 and, play really well at the NFL level. It's tough, that transition from college to pro. That is one position where it's tougher. The wide receivers you're going up against, obviously no disrespect to the SEC, because the SEC is phenomenal at college ball, but the NFL is a whole other world. So can he make that step and do it quickly and win that job? Will it be Greg Newsome? Deonte Banks? Whoever wins that job, that could end up being, I think the biggest position battle to watch heading into training camp, I would say.
I'm going to give you position 1A because I agree with you, but I think right below it is the 3-technique defensive tackle spot.
That's the other one I was considering.
Darius Alexander, really finished up last season strong. He had a nice final 5 or 6 weeks. He played really well and started to show why the Giants thought so highly of him coming out of Toledo. If Darius Alexander can have linear progress and take another big step up like he took it the last month of the season last year, I think the Giants would be thrilled.
I agree, and I think that is something that I would think that, the coaching staff certainly hopes to happen at some point during the season. Do you think it's going to happen like during training camp, though, where he'll show enough where the Giants are like, you're our starting 3 technique?
Hard to say. You never. Sure. Guys always take a different roadmap to their development. Some guys, they get on Turnpike. Other guys are taking the back road to grandma's house,
That is definitely true. I would say I think he probably, as of right now, I don't think would be the favorite to win the starting job in week 1.
I think they'd like him to. I don't know if he can.
They would like him to. Of course, that's the ideal scenario. We'll see really once training camp starts, because defensive linemen, as excited as we are for next week, OTAs and stuff, there's only so much you can get from the line play because there's no contact. So,
true.
But yeah, that is definitely another one to watch for when training camp comes around. And then what player are you looking forward to taking the next step from last year? I spoke about this when I misinterpreted your question on the
I remember that
comeback versus breakout player, but for me it is easy, and that is Abdul Carter. I think we saw the same thing you were just saying about Darius Alexander. We saw a different Abdul Carter in the last, let's call it 6 games of the season, starting with that Patriots Monday night game when he, was benched or sat the first, series or 2, the first quarter.
Right.
From that moment on, he looked like a different player, and he looked like the Abdul Carter that was dominating at Penn State that led to him being the number 3 pick. I think that he is the player where if he continues that trend, that upward mobility from where he was that last month and a half of the season, we could be talking about a top level edge rusher this year, a guy that's getting, double-digit sacks, and that's right, him and Brian Burns. If Abdul Carter is able to make that step, it would be tough to have a edge rushing duo be considered better than the Abdul Carter Brian Burns combo. assuming Brian Burns is even close to what he showed last year as well.
Yeah, the potential's certainly there. There's no question about it. They could be an incredible duo. Folks, the Giants fans are eligible to be there for the 2026 Town Hall presented by Verizon. It's live from the Beacon Theater in New York City on Monday, May 18th. That's coming up.
Just a couple days away.
Get an exclusive preview of the season with GM Joe Shane and head coach John Harbaugh, plus hear from current players like Jackson Dart, Cam Scatteraboo, and Brian Burns, along with members of the newest draft class. Secure your seats now at Giants.com/town hall. Also, I want to make sure we, if you missed earlier in the program, we do promote some of the stuff that is up on the site right now. There's the Giants Huddle stuff. Pearson, I don't know if there's anything that you want to pop that's gone up this past week, but we do want to refer to the schedule stuff, the Jameis Winston schedule video, and of course all of the graphics, the wallpapers, and all of the other fun stuff that is on Giants.com. Go ahead, Pearson.
Yeah, as Matt said, we did a schedule reaction last night. That's up on the Huddle. We had an interview with Chris Sims, who talked about the Giants roster and his expectations for the season. And then we're still putting out a lot of our scout interviews where they talk about the players they scouted and that Giants drafted. So keep an eye out for that as well.
And for those of you who enjoyed the Jameis Winston schedule release video, just before we came on air, we also posted it's only a couple minutes, but the blooper reel from filming that schedule release. And I'm sure if you obviously get a sense of who
Jameis Winston had bloopers? Are you kidding? No, can't be.
Exactly. So it's an entertaining couple minutes. So give it a watch. Everyone loves Jameis content.
Also, quick announcement, we said it yesterday, but we will be going to 12 p.m. starting next week for BBK.
Because of OTAs.
That will carry out pretty much throughout the offseason unless something changes.
I'm glad you reminded me, Pearson. Thank you. Yeah, so it'll be 12 to 1 Eastern Time. 12 to 1 Eastern Time, Monday to Friday, starting next week. And again, we'll let you know when that changes, if in fact it has to, once training camp begins. But Big Blue Kickoff Live, again, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. I guess that'll do it for this edition of the show. It's been fun, Matt, and I'm just so glad that we have cleared another hurdle as we get towards opening day. It is going to be one heck of a season, folks. Just remember, you can always catch an archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at Giants.com/podcasts. You have been listening to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants, coming to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Matt Citak, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll see you next time.